Hey, good morning. How's everybody doing? This is Miguel Ramos, and welcome to our moment of empowerment. I hope that you're pumped up. I hope that you're motivated. If you're not, no worry. Listen, your coach is here, transformational coach, motivational leader, amen, and I'm here to help you transform. So, if you haven't been with us throughout the week, I always like to do these theme teachings. The reason being is because I believe that there's not enough time to teach everything that we want to teach. So I do these theme teachings where every week I try to stay on topic. I believe that the best way to retain something is to continue to reiterate it over and over and again. So if you haven't really been with us, we've been talking about conflict resolution. Conflict is such a nasty thing. At the workplace, when you have conflict, you have tension. Whether it's a church, you have conflict, you have tension. Even in a relationship, you have conflict, you have tension. So, I made it my aim to just teach about conflict throughout this whole week, just to help you not just build confidence, but also help you grasp and maintain whatever work environment, whatever atmosphere you have. I want to say something about an atmosphere real quickly. Atmosphere is very conducive to your growth. Think about it. Let's just use a plant, for example. Whether it's a greenhouse or whether it's in the forest out, in the wild. An atmosphere is very conducive for the growth of that plant. The temperature, the rainfall, the moisture, sunlight, darkness, all these things, believe it or not, are essential to the growth of that entity. And when you create an atmosphere that is conducive for your growth, let's say, for example, you start a new job. And a new job, you meet new people. Now you're happy, you go lucky. What happens is you tend to want to go to the job. You love going there, It's going to make you more productive. It's going to help you handle more things. It's going to help you be more creative. You're going to have more ideas. And let's say, boom, you hit conflict in the atmosphere. It is up to you. It is your responsibility, believe it or not, to maintain that work environment, to maintain the atmosphere of productivity, of inspiration, aspiration. And if you don't fight for it, if you don't resolve conflict, then what happens is that you're going to walk out of that situation, where you could have fixed it and you could have been very successful, or better yet, other people, let's say your most productive leader in that team is going to wind up leaving because you don't solve conflict. So that's why conflict is very important, not just to a church setting, but to a corporate setting, to a big company, even a relationship. Think about it. If you've been in a relationship, how many relationships have you lost because you wasn't willing to resolve that conflict, or the other party wasn't willing to resolve that conflict? So that's what I've been teaching about conflict. I believe it's very, very important. It helps you keep a relationship, helps you not burn bridges, right? And it helps you, maintain integrity. That's very good, because you don't want other people saying negative things about you just because you wasn't willing to fix a relationship. So what do I have for you today? I want to speak to you about the relationship between conflict and solution. Conflict and solution, the relationship between the two. In every situation that conflict arises, there needs to be a solution there. The reason conflict, I want to say, lingers, and it's almost like that aftertaste of a bad fruit that you ate. When conflict lingers, is because the solution really has not been pried or has not been, detected yet. I love one thing that the Bible says. The Bible tells us that, that when temptation is brought to us, that there is no temptation that is not common to man, but from the temptation, the Lord will allow us a solution, or will allow us an escape. In other words, really what that means is that you will not get a conflict, or you will not get a problem without having the solution. Or better yet, if you do have a problem, the solution is already within you. You just have not exposed it yet. So you have to find out what that solution is. Solution can be as easy as admitting our wrongs. Solution can be as easy as, lowering that ego. Solution can be as easy as saying, you know what? Suffer the loss, for the sake of the relationship. Even though the other person was wrong, you know what? I'm going to take one for the team this time so that we can keep the relationship. A solution can be as little as that, but we're living in a society now where everybody has to be the head honcho, everybody has to be the chief, everybody has to be the boss, and you're not going to tell me what to do. We're having so much more disrespect now, than we did back in the day. Remember back in the day, you open the door for the ladies, you're a gentleman, yes sir, yes ma'am. Now it's not like that. that. I was talking to somebody just recently that I was counseling and coaching, and I kept referring to him as yes sir, because of the integrity and the character that I was trying to pass on. And they kept telling me, oh, don't call me sir, don't call me sir. They felt old. I was like, it's not a term of oldness or age, but rather of respect, right? So again, we have to bring some of those old ways back. But let me tell you the relationship between, I want to say, a solution and conflict. If you have a conflict in life, right, whatever life brings you, let's say you have a conflict in your relationship, you have a conflict in your business, you have a conflict in church. If you have a conflict there, or a problem, right, let's call it a problem, then what happens is you have to understand that you are the solution to that problem, because the problem was not given to anybody else but you. So I want to say that the biggest thing, or the biggest ability to be able to clarify and detect the solution is to become relevant. Yeah, that is the key word that we're going to be speaking about right now, is relevance. You have to become relevant to the situation. The more relevant you are to the situation and to the person going through that conflictual situation, the easier it is for you to solve that problem. Let me tell you what relevance is before we go further. But according to the Oxford Dictionary, relevance, watch this. Relevance is a state of being closely connected or appropriate to the matter at hand. A state of being closely connected or appropriate to the matter at hand. In other words, how do you relate to what's happening? How do you relate to what's going on? If now, I was saying Williamson and Johnson, those were my two make-believe business partners here. Let's say if Williamson and Johnson are having a conflict, how do you relate to that? It is very hard sometimes to solve conflict or solve problems when you have no clue of what happened or what transpired. That's why as a leader, you have to be very, very involved in what's going on. It's almost like your children at home, right? If you have children, or if you don't, or your family members. If you're not highly involved in what's going on, when a problem happens and you have no clue about what's going on, you're going to tend to make the wrong decision because you don't know what's going on. So you have to become relevant to the situation. So the way we become relevant is give me details. What did it happen? Listen to both parties. Listen to both sides of the story. There's always two sides of the story. I said a conflict, I've always said this, a conflict cannot survive without your involvement, right? So it's always two parties, one or the other. So you have to become relevant because you want to be connected to the situation. How or what, where, all these questions that we ask, that you can understand what's going on. And then also the way that you become more relevant is by being in tune with a person. You have to be in tune with a person. Don't just blow them off. Don't just say, oh man, another problem, another situation. But be in tune with a person that you can become more relevant to the situation. In other words, you can, connect more to what's going on. You can be more compassionate, more sensitive, more empathetic, concerning whatever situation that person is going through. And therefore, I guarantee you that conflict is going to be so much easier for you to resolve in any situation. So basically what you want to do is you want to become an answer to that solution, to that problem. You want to be an answer to the problem. And the reason that you want to become an answer to the problem, watch this, it's a two-edged sword on this. Not only do you want to resolve the problem at hand, but you also want to be, I want to say, almost kind of like the main person, the most important person, or the person that is being needed. That's the word I'm looking for. The person that is being needed. I was reading an article just yesterday, and I found out that our generation, this generation here, is going to be the generation, believe it or not, that it may become the most unemployed in history. And the reason for that being is because there's a lot of people that have not made themselves an answer to a solution. In other words, if you are a consumer or a customer or whatever, and I am the business owner, I have to be relevant to you. I have to have something that you need. What problems can I solve that you have? What problems can I solve that you have? And a lot of people don't want to become relevant. And that is the key point in starting your own business, in being your own boss, in fulfilling your own dream. What do you have that is relevant to me, that connects to me, that I can use as a problem solver in my life? And when you become relevant to society, relevant to this day and age, relevant to technology, relevant to the change of life, then you'll always be on demand. You'll always be in need. So you have to learn skills. You have to learn masteries. You have to learn different ventures. You have to learn different ways of taking what you have, taking the raw material scenarios of your life and transform them into a relevant solution for somebody. I'm going to give you a key points just how you can be making money with what you have. Let's say you're a person who's been through, some relationship. You could write about relationship, the ups and downs of relationships, right? If you're a woman, you can write about, your experience, with the relationship. Or if you're a man, you can write about the experience with the relationship, with women, And I understand everybody say, well, I don't want anybody in my private life. But you think about it, you could be sitting on a gold mine. Or let's say you're a handyman. You could write 100 ways to be handy, a lot of people don't know how to nail a nail. I still have seen people nailing stuff, picture frame, with the back of their shoes. Yes, 2017, they're still doing it. Trust me. So you have so many skills out there that you can compile, that you can put, and you can make relevant to today's day and age. I just found out the other day, how to do those live messages on my iPhones. That you press the arrow and it gives you balloons and all that stuff. My friend just taught me the other day. I was like, I didn't even know how to do that. And I had iPhones for years, right? So again, you can do little things, like this, to help it become relevant to today's society, and you become an answer not just to conflict, but to people's problems in this day and age. And I guarantee you that this will make you money. This will help you. This will help you launch yourself, brand yourself, whatever it is. So I want to give you some key points in becoming relevant. I want to give you some key points in becoming relevant, because I believe that the number one reason why a lot of people don't venture out in starting themselves or branding themselves is because they believe that they're not relevant. They believe that what they have is not needed. They believe that what they have is not important, that what they have is not valuable. And I want you to look at yourself in the mirror and say, that is not true. What do you say in church? The devil is a liar, right? That is not true. You becoming relevant, of course, it's I want to say it's a practice. It's a practice. So the more and more you practice, the more you become relevant to today's day and age. Like, for example, listen, I read the newspaper, I read the Bible, I read tons of books. I got books over here, on my side. I got books back there, I got books back there. So I'm constantly reading, to become relevant. And not just to become relevant, but I like to deposit in myself that when somebody, listen, as a pastor, when somebody comes to me with a problem, I want to make sure that I have the answer. And if I don't have the answer, it's okay to say, listen, can I get back with you in 24 hours, 48 hours, or in 72 hours? Let me get back to you. Let me research. That's a good idea. Let me do some research on that, and then you come back. But it is good to be relevant because you're always needed. You're always on high demand. Every time there's a problem, people call me. Every time there's a situation, people call me. I have married people calling me for counseling. I have single people calling me for counseling. I have businesses calling me for advice. I have people calling me, for direction, all these things. And it's good to be needed. And because when you are needed like that, when you're constantly in high demand, that you don't have to worry about being unemployed. And I'm not just talking about book smart, but I'm talking about life skills. Handy skills, whatever it is. I do construction on one side of my job, on my life. I do ministry on the other side of my job. I do motivational speaking on the other side of my job. Everybody said, well, I got two sides of my job. Well, I got 15. Right? So I'm constantly doing it. So guess what? In my construction field, not only do I know masonry, but I know carpentry, I know sheetrock, I know plumbing, I know electrical, I know gas, I know, all these things, and then some. Insulation, you name it, I know it, electricity, I know those things, Now in the ministry part, I do counseling, I do, weddings, funerals, sermons, I do, motivational speaking, I do all those things. And then in my motivation, I'm doing leadership development, I'm doing, motivational speaking, I'm doing, executive coaching, I'm doing personal coaching, I'm doing all those things. So I'm constantly building my horizon, building who I am, right? Building my incorporation, building what I do. That not just I can be an answer and relevant to everybody else, but also one day to build a legacy and build a dynasty, and I can teach other people how to do all these things. In other words, you can't corner me, right? You can't confine me to just one space. So, always employed, always have something to do, always have a business going on, always have something going on. And that's what you want to do. You want to become relevant to that. So I'm going to give you just 4 points to becoming relevant to this day and age, and how to become an answer to any problem, any solution. The number one thing that you want to do, ladies and gentlemen, is you want to be more authentic. Yes, you want to be more authentic. We're living in an age, believe it or not, where we're living through, I want to say, through a camera. And what I mean by that, not in a bad way, but I want to be real and I want to be straight up with you. We're living a life of Facebook or a life of Instagram or a life of Periscope or a life of Twitter, a life of whatever. And what we put out through those cameras may not necessarily be the truth, And what I mean by that is that, if you're not doing a video without filters, people don't really know who you really are. And you have to be authentic. By being authentic is you have to be vulnerable. You have to be real to people. And the more real, the more authentic you are, the more relevant you become. Because that way, people don't know. People are not going to say that, oh, you're being phony. You're just saying this to get my money. You're just saying that to try to get in or try to get in here. No, be authentic. Be vulnerable. Be who you are. The more authentic you are, the more relevant you become to the situation. Don't be, I want to say, sarcastic in a way, or don't be, I want to say, disconnected where you're just trying to get the person to say something, but be compassionate with that person. For example, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. In other words, listen, you can be empathetic, you could be compassionate with one another and feel the same thing without having to go through that same situation. If another person is crying, you can cry with them. If another person is rejoicing, rejoice with them. But be real in doing it. Don't be phony. Don't in the back of your mind, in the back of your heart say, man, I wish that was me. Man, I wish. No, but be happy for the person. The more authentic you are, the more appreciative that person is going to be about you. So you have to be more authentic in what it is that you do. Be real, be yourself. Don't try to be anybody else. Don't try to be a cheap copy of a great original. You are, my friends, a great original, a masterpiece, one of a kind, and they broke the mold when they made you. So why not let us enjoy who you are by being who you are, right? So be authentic. The second thing is achieve more masteries. In other words, don't just stay stuck in one niche. Don't stay stuck in one niche. If you're a speaker, don't just stay stuck in that speaker. Write a book, right? Take your speech, record it, transfer into words, whatever, blog it, whatever it is, write it down, write a book. Now you're a speaker and an author, right? Don't stop there as an author. If you're an author, listen, do something else, right? Do a workbook according with that book. Now you become a teacher. So now you're an author, a speaker, and a teacher. The Bible constantly talks about us having talents, gifts, transferring them, sharing those, multiplying them, and getting more. So don't just stay stuck in a niche. Do more things. If you're cooking, hey, expand. Cook different dishes. Try something every week. Have a dish of the week or a dish of the day. Today I'm doing some moro con coco and whatever it is. That's some Spanish food right there. So But be different, be relevant, be relevant to the situation, connect to the people, but at the same time, try to grow who you are. So achieve more mastery. I remember when I first started, when I first came to New Jersey, I was working in finances in the city, in New York City. And when I first came to New Jersey, I was looking for jobs in finances, banking establishment and all this stuff. And I couldn't find a job in banking establishment. And a friend of mine said, listen, I have a job, but you're not going to like it. And I said, what is it? He was saying it's doing construction. Man, and I had these baby hands. You can see my hands. Now they're not baby no more. But I had these baby hands back in the days. And, man, I was like, I didn't want to mess up my hands, because, I was want a Mac, with my hands, So I'm playing around. I can laugh at that. But I didn't want to mess my hands up. But I got to a point where I said, you know what? I need to eat and I need to work. So I started doing construction. My hands got so messed up, but I was making money. I was eating. I was paying my bills. I was taking care of my family. I was doing what I was supposed to do. And from there, I learned other skills because I said, you know what? I don't want to keep doing just this one thing. So I learned other skills in the same field. And now, to tell you the truth, I can actually build you a house from the ground up. I can. Not by myself, with a team, but I'm saying I have the knowledge to do it. Why? Because I learned so many things. And the blessing was that when we got our church building, I was the one, with the help of my leadership and my friends and family, I was the one who remodeled everything. And it wasn't until I got there that I said, wow, look at the skills that I learned before that now has helped me now. So become relevant, right? So learn more masteries. I want to give you a couple of quotes, and this is for a couple of people that I've heard, the bridge between knowledge and skill is called practice. The bridge, right, between knowledge and skill is called practice. So if you have knowledge and you want to make it to making that skills, right? Because you can know something and not do it at all. The bridge between knowledge and skill is called practice. So practice what it is that you're learning, right? If you learn something, don't just say, oh, I know how to do that. No, practice it. Trust me. Practice makes what? Don't say perfect, it makes improvement. That's the same my wife and I, we have here. Practice doesn't make perfect. My son said the other day, perfect people don't need to change. So you don't want to become perfect, right? You want to become relevant. Awesome, kid. So you want to practice the skills that you have, or practice the knowledge that you've gained to gain skills. And then now the bridge between knowledge and mastery, because you want to be a master of what you do, the bridge between knowledge and mastery is what? Time. It's just simply time. Would you trust a 40-year-old veteran, plane flyer or a pilot, a pilot or a brand new pilot, that just finished the school? You'd probably be like, you know what, I want to go with the veteran that knows more, right? Because he has mastery, right? Look at, what was it, Sully, who did the Miracle in the Hudson, right? Awesome pilot, right? He had mastery, right? Awesome movie. Check it out, Sully. So, mastery. You want people with mastery. You want people with life skills. You want people that have been there. One of my best coaches, believe it or not, are people that are older than me, and it's nothing against age, but I pick their brain. I love to sit down, with this, I want to say, these wise masters of the universe. And I call them masters of the universe because, these wise, older men and older women that have walked our earth, believe it or not, they may have not gone to school, or they may not have the degree in this and that, but I pick at their brain and I ask them about life. And they tell me so much about life. And I just sit there and I just feast from the knowledge that they go through. Why? Because they are masters of the universe. They've been there, done that. No, they don't have a PhD. No, they don't have, a master's in business and that. But they have a PhD in life and they have a master. So honor your elders and listen, take them out for ice cream. Take them out for dinner, whatever it is, whatever elder you have. And ask them questions about their youth and their childhood, and I guarantee you that they're going to give you so much information. And that's how I become who I am today, right? So achieve mastery. Number three, be more empathetic. Now, what is empathy? Empathy is really just the capacity to recognize what somebody is going through and sympathize with them. In other words, relate. So, for example, if you're crying, I'm not just going to be, just hurtful and say, why are you crying? What's wrong with you? Man up. Come on. No, I'm going to sympathize with you. To be empathetic is to feel what you feel, to go through what you go through. So in empathy, you have to relate. You have to be relevant to the person. The person is crying. Don't just jump into a solution like, you got to suck it up and just be who it is. Let them cry for a minute and cry with them. If a person is rejoicing, be happy. Let them rejoice and rejoice together, that you both can have this relationship and be more relevant to the solution. And I guarantee you that the more empathetic you are, the more people will search for you, because people love to be connected to one another. Now, I want to read this thing to you very quickly because there's something that I want to share with you. But in business, there are 3 levels of empathy. In business, there are 3 levels of empathy, and you have to learn these 3 levels so that you can become more effective in business. Now, the first level of empathy is called on-demand empathy, and on-demand empathy is just basically the ability to sense what the customer wants. The ability to sense what the customer wants. Again, that comes through mastery, through skill. So if you see a customer coming over and over, then you have to sense what that customer wants. That by the time that customer can even finish what they're going to say, you already can say, I already got you. I'm making my aim to be very pleasing. Not saying that I'm bending over backwards for everybody, but I'm making my aim to be very pleasing to everybody that I'm working with. Why? Because you think about it, if you hire me, if I'm working with you, it's to resolve a problem, right? So I like to resolve the problems. Now, not a lot of people say, let's get down to it, let's do it, let's work at it. My time is very valuable. But no, if you're paying for my time, listen, I want to make sure that you enjoy every second of it. That every second of my time is going to be a life experience for you and a good experience that you're going to remember. So I'll make sure that I learn what that person needs or what that person wants so that I can sense what that customer wants. The second type of empathy is solution empathy. And what solution empathy, basically what it entails is understanding the customer's problem and addressing it and figuring it out. Understanding the customer's problem, addressing it, and figuring it out. If you do not have a solution, I'm the customer, you're the person, right? You're the business. If I have a problem and you cannot resolve it, then what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go somewhere else. I'm gonna give you a key example. You ever been, let's say, to a hardware store and you have something, you be like, I'm looking for this bolt, and it's almost kind of like goes like this, and the minute the person goes, they'll be like, well, we don't have that. What do? You'll be like, you stay for a little while. You'll be like, oh, okay, because you're looking to see if that person or somebody or something else can resolve the issue. Usually like, and then you get frustrated and you say, let me go down the street. But if the person can say, well, let me take a look at it. You know what? I may not have this, but I have a solution to what it is that you're trying to do. So what is it that you're trying to accomplish? Well, I want to fasten to things. Well, I don't have that bolt, but I have these clips. And these clips. So that's what I'm saying. Don't just easily dismiss people, but learn their problem and try to resolve it that you can be more effective with them. Ooh, let me fly through this real quick. And then the third type of empathy is what we call transcendent empathy. And what transcending empathy is basically creating a solution to the problem that the customer doesn't even have, or before they even have a problem. You're creating a solution. I'm going to give you a key prime example of that. In my church, during the hot days, right, and we have the elderly folks that are come in, I always tell, like my ushers, my greeters, I always tell them, my leaders, I say, have little water bottles in hand, make them close. Or we have tissues, we have paper towels, we have things at hand, right? Not that we're expecting somebody to spit up somewhere or make a mess, whatever, but in case something happens, boom, we have right there. We have waters, or we hear the elderly, boom, we give them a water, or if somebody gets emotional, we already have the tissue. We already have all these things in hand, and that's creating a solution before the problem comes. That's called transcendent empathy. It's the same way where you take a jacket with you for your child. It's warm outside, but you take a jacket with you just in case it gets cool later on in the day. That's transcending empathy, and you want to create that for your customers, for your people. Now, the last but not least, let me close this out, because I can tell you I could talk forever. Y'all probably like, I'm trying to get to work. I'm sorry. But the last but not least is taking action. You have to take action. Listen, I love one thing that my wife says. She says, knowing and not doing is not knowing at all. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't put action to it, you don't know anything. Listen, I'm saying this, I'm human, but I cannot stand when a person tells me they know something and never do it. Let's say, for example, you get into a situation, you get into a problem, you, through hell or high water, you handle that problem yourself, and then after that, be like, oh yeah, I knew that, and you feel like, why didn't you tell me? I thought I was your friend, right? So, again, knowing and not doing is not knowing at all. So take action, take more action, whatever it is, take more action, take initiative, don't just stand there. Don't just, have this big old head with all this head knowledge and then you have no action. The Bible even commits us and encourages us. It says that faith without works is dead. You can have all the faith you want, but if you don't have works, if you don't have manifested works of that faith behind it, then there's really nothing. You got to show me, Don't talk about being a gentleman and I never see you hold the door open for a lady. Don't talk about being a lady and I never see you acting classy. Don't talk about business and I never see you take an investment, take a risk. Don't talk about, being strong and I never see you bear the infirmities of the weak. So again, take action at what it is that you're putting out, at your life skill, what you're mastering, what you're being empathetic about. Take action. The more action people see you take, the more they will believe you that you're doing this. And the more, I want to say, what's the first one? The more authentic they'll see that you are. So when you take action to something, they'll be like, man, this brother is genuine. This woman over here, she's authentic. She's real. She's the real deal. He's the real deal. Why? Because they know that you're about it. If you say you're going to be there at 7, be there at 6:15. Well, y'all didn't caught that, right? So, so you know why? Because you want to be there earlier than possible. Anyways, what I'm trying to tell you is be authentic. You know, achieve more mastery, be more empathetic, and take more action. You do these 4 things, I guarantee you that you will become relevant to today's society. And the more relevant you become, you'll never, never, never be unemployed because you'll always be on demand. You know, I can tell you the number of people that will call me. There's times where construction is slow. People call me and say, listen, I want you to perform a wedding. I want you to do a speaking engagement. And I'm like, thank you, Jesus. You know, I heard to say, you know, money's coming, right? So, you know, you always are relevant to somebody. And I always tell people, you know, I'm more than one-trick pony. You know, I'm not just a one-trick pony. I can do other things as well. So don't become a one-trick pony, but be, you know, skillful, master other things that you become relevant to today's society. Well, my friends, listen, God bless you. You know, tackle the day. Today is Thursday. You know, it's an awesome day, beautiful day, second day of summer, right? Yesterday was a very long day. I drove to the city, saw some sightseeing over there, wonderful thing, had a good time. But listen, you know, be encouraged. Thank you for joining us in a moment of empowerment. This is your host, Miguel A. Ramos. Check out my website, miguelaramos.com, and let me know what you think. You know, you want to work with me, right there in the top right-hand corner, boom, book an appointment, and let me know, you know, how I can help you, how I can be relevant to your situation. If not, follow us on Facebook, Miguel Ramos business page for more empowerment content. Well, my friends, this is our time. Thank you for listening. God bless you. Until we meet again. Peace.